I really like the diagrams on top of the on top of the roof.
That's awesome.
They were fantastic.
I do this a
I'll be back
lot.
though. Yeah, it was nice. I'll be back.
This is how I watch the games too. Pretty much. Um, here, I'm just gonna go over comp. I know I already went over this, but I have more time now. Here, specifically for Zen, our Zen players here, right? Yep. See you in the thing. Like you're gonna
One
be
of our
playing to
many
pocket
players.
these two. You actually have a lot of. Like, I'm gonna take that back immediately. You want to pocket your tracer every time they take duels. Like if the two tracers are fighting, like if your tracer's good, they're gonna be in LOS and taking duels where you can enable them because a pocketed tracer is gonna just win 100% of duels. And this is like not 100%, but like in this case, it's 100% of duels. Skill's not a factor because you're both same rank. Like if they have a fucking GM Smurf, then like blacklist their team. Like okay. So that's sort of your job, and you want to save trance specifically for mines. Because you can do it for Grav, but a lot of times like Grav is like you should have trance more than they have Grav, ideally. So like this is possible, but I wouldn't sit because like you'll have trance and they'll be like 60 to Grav, and this is like a lot of downtime that you just like don't want to wait for. But they're gonna be mining and like pulsing a lot. So you're probably gonna get your like ult forced by pulse or forced by mines 9 times out of 10. And don't be like afraid, like, oh, I gotta hold my ult for Grav because yeah, and then I get pulse and I'm like, I could save my life, but I gotta hold my ult. This is like comp brain stuff. Using your ult to stay alive and trading it with pulse is suboptimal, but if you have to do it to win a fight, do it. Again, you're the carry. You dying here is like a win condition for them. So denying that with your ult is completely acceptable. Again, suboptimal because trading it with mines or Grav is better. If they let you do that, but don't be afraid to give it up. Not that you do or anything. I'm just generally. I'm gonna keep going over characters. Mercy, you're gonna basically hard pocket these two. If Zen is getting dove hard by these 3, then you move to Peel and you need to communicate to your Echo like, you're not gonna get it healed right now. And then your Echo can sort of play like maybe like really high up and spam down on them. That's fine. But like they just need to be aware that they're not getting pocketed, and then you can sort of call that you're coming back to them, and then they can like LOS you. Like these are the communications that you should be saying and doing. Tracer, our Tracer's not here, so I'm gonna really quickly go over it. Again, this is a 2-4 comp. You're gonna be playing linked with your ball like really hard. If you're not, you're gonna be mirroring their Tracer to like protect your carry. And a lot of that's just because like tracers want to play the same lanes. Like see how this tracer's here? Our tracer should be here too. Like if our tracer took a duel here and our Zen was here and could pocket, that would be ideal. And then it's like if they're dueling on high ground, our Zen can easily pocket. So you can sort of see how like this one's gonna enable this one. And then it's like that will allow us to win these duels. And this sort of where skill's not a factor. Like we're letting our macro and our teamwork and our positioning auto win fights, which is where we want to be. And this is why I could see you guys like being a 2-5 team that scrims up to like 3-4. Because like, you can only like out teamwork them so hard until like they're just like mechanically diffing you. But I feel like as you progress up, you're gonna be there to meet that. So 3-4 I think is about where you're gonna peak. I think pushing in the Masters would be ambitious because at that point a lot of these teams are gonna be team working well enough that you shouldn't auto win off it. But Diamond teams are pretty bad at working together and understanding how their comp works and whatnot. Echo, you're going to be looking to like listen to this because you're sort of a third wheeler to this duo. This is like, this comp's weird because it's 2-4, but then it's also like 2-2-2. This is sort of like the Ash comp I explained. These two are pocketing each other. They can off angle and they can also look to dive with the tracers, like Tracer and Ball, if they find an opportunity. And you can sort of see how this is like a circumstantial and reactive, and all the game sense comes into it, communication, like how much info you have, like it gets really complicated really fast. This is a hard comp to run, good to practice because it's easy to VOD, because like everyone has set jobs and then you can sort of see where decision making affects like the fight. But that's sort of our Echo's job is like pressure people, specifically these two, And then, you can take the duel. Duels are fine if you can win them. If you can't, don't take them. You don't really worry about their ball tracer. Like, if you have to force the ball out, just play for ult charge, kind of. Other than that, you're just, like, looking to play really aggro on these two, specifically. Ball. Oh, wait, I'm skipping Sigma. Whoops. Sigma, you play hard link to your Zen. You're the one primarily responsible for him because you're, like, always with him. Like, if Tracer has pulse, like, granted, this is like ult tracking and how it affects you, you should be looking to E it. The second you hear a Tracer blinking into your Zen, you're 180 and pressing shift and hard countering that. And if you do that, guess who doesn't have to get his transforced? Like, that's like, so we can see how this pick is, like, really going to impact the game on how, like, these ults get used. If you can pull off the eat and huge, if you can shield it, if you can deny it big, it'll make our Zen's life easy. You two should be playing together all the time. You generally want to position in the same areas. This goes back to, like, what I said about Kree. If you're playing Kree, you want to position with your Rhine or your BAP because they're going to be in the same spots you want to be in. These two want to always stand in the same spots. They want to have the same lanes to shoot in, and they want to stand in the same spots. That's just, like, simple. So they stand together all the time. If our Zen's here, our Sig should be here too. If we're in a bad spot, we should be like, yo, let's move over. Like, this is sort of like a lower ranked game thing because, like, I'm assuming you're out of position, but most of the time you should be in position and you should be standing together. A lot of times we're going to want our Zen to be, like, in this area because, think about it, what are our threats to Zen? Echo sometimes. Tracer sucks in hallways. Ball sucks in rooms with ceilings and hallways. Echo sucks with ceilings. So this position makes it really hard for you to get punished because everything that would kill you has a hard time in this environment. And then opposite you, you're good in hallways. You're good with cover. You're good with high ground. So this is perfectly where you want to sit. And Sigma's exactly the same. He wants to sit where he doesn't have to deal with these shitty characters. Same thing. So we want to be in this area. This is our space. And then, like, if they're mirroring and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Ball. I'm very ADHD right now. Ball, link to the Tracer. You're looking to dive this person specifically, like, 100% of the time. Other than that, your priorities are contesting point most of the time, especially, like, that's, like, map dependent. Contesting point is kind of your thing right now because who's going to punish you for contesting point? Like, no one really. Like, Tracer in Discord maybe, like, but you're, like, most optimal. You are Tracer, but less so Tracer because she can just get dueled out if their Zen's going to pocket. So contesting point is sort of your responsibility, especially in overtime situations and whatnot. But you want to be controlling lanes. So if they're running a ball, which they are, you are going to be playing a lot of the time the same lanes. Like, the Tracers on this map, like this one's being really weird, are going to want to play in this lane and, like, look to sort of catch your Zen if he plays main or take his back away and, like, catch him here. You can play this lane because you have, like, a lot of high ground opportunities. These hallways sort of suck, but you can sort of play around them by, like, dipping in the main and coming back. Like, this right side's fine too. You're, like, your ball, you can sort of play wherever you want, but a lot of times you're going to want to mirror their ball or avoid their ball. And that's, like, reactive decision making. Are you better than their ball? Are you getting more value? Are you killing their Zen more? So, like, if these two, comparative to you two, are getting, like, maybe they kill your Zen every third fight, then don't worry about mirroring their ball. Don't worry about them. Because you're, like, your Sig's popping off and your Zen's popping off, and they're playing really well together, and they're hard shutting down these two. And obviously, like, looking for a duel to take that 50-50 is not going to get value because they're not getting any value. If you take a 50-50 and they're doing nothing, you're doing nothing now too. So you're going to look to do something else. You're going to look to find value. So this is, like, sort of bad. If you're killing them 3 out of 3 times, again, avoid a 50-50. And then vice versa. If you're killing them none, like, literally you haven't done it all game and you're struggling really hard, and then they're sort of rolling you, look to peel more. Look to find value. Because if you're getting no value and he's getting a ton of value, and then you force that trade, like, now neither of you are getting value, so you're doing well in comparison. And then, like, maybe you make their ball mad and he starts to do worse, or, like, maybe, like, then you can get into reactive and play style and decision making. But you can sort of see those two responsibilities and those mindsets. And then the off one is, again, contesting point is sort of the one where, like, you're doing it, but like unideally, because like we're talking more about team fights. So now that everyone knows that, I didn't really go over like how the enemy team's comp affects you because I don't want to spend 3 hours just talking about characters. That's like good enough right now. Like we're blue team, let's just like watch how we play. Like right now we're playing like a brawl comp. This is not right. Keybinds aren't working. There we go. All right, this is actually good really fast. Our tracer's here and our ball's here. That's like our Zen being here and our Sig being here. This is really not good because like I said, Lucio's speed boost is Ryan's ability to an extent. It's like if we have to amp heals, like we're holding space and we're not moving and we're getting spammed out, like we can amp heals. Like it's not actually his ability, but it's a decent way to think about it. It's the same thing with Tracer. Ball can't kill Zen because every time you go in, he's going to get bubbled or he's just going to get pocketed. And then you're going to get spammed and you're going to feed. Now, if you think about it, if you have Tracer damage, now Ball's insanely scary because one slam equals a one clip. So now your lethality is like insanely high. Like it just like it went from like low chance of getting a kill, like only if they're not paying attention, which we shouldn't assume they aren't, to like it's gonna work 9 times out of 10 if we do it right. So we can see how this duo working together is where you get your value. If you're doing stuff alone, you're feeding. The only thing you can do alone is look to mirror this guy. And if you're doing that, like this talk, because you're sort of responsible for your Tracer's time and Tracer's sort of responsible for your time because they're a married couple, deal with each other. So like you hit alone and like you can sort of see how that goes. You get the kill, but like if their Mercy wasn't like if their Mercy had their monitor on, you wouldn't get that kill and you would die. But they res it, tough. So there's like whole time our Tracer is like not been able to really do anything. So I'm not gonna hash too hard on like how the fights go and whatever, because none of this was explained to you guys. I just want you guys to see the mistakes you're making, what you should be doing, what you could be doing, and sort of where creativity comes into it and play style does. And a lot of this is gonna be on like Ball and Tracer because they're sort of the hardest characters to play and coordinate together. Okay, your timing is pretty bad. Tracer's timing is equally bad, but like you should be looking to hit their Zen when he comes into hittable areas. And the way Tracer and Zen, like Ball get away with what they get away with is because they're so fast. They can get in. You know, they have that lethality, the chance to kill, high chance to kill a Zen, who's the carry, or Force Trance, which is like one of the best ults on this team. So you want to look to like go in fast, Force Trance, get the kill, and get out fast. And then like get your cooldowns back, get your positioning, your health back, then go back in fast. Maybe hit Zarya this time. Maybe after you kill Zen, you look to mirror their ball. Like then you have your job is done. You've killed their carry. Maybe you guard the res. You know, then you can sort of do other things. But the default thing is look for Zen when he's in killable areas. Zen here is not killable. Not really. Not when he's next to Mercy. Like this is really out of the fight. You're like basically in their spawn. So killing him here like is iffy. Because a lot of times you're faster than your Tracer, so you sort of have to like wait for her because you can like grapple and be like here in like 5 seconds, where Tracer like is only here. So like you're gonna have to talk to your Tracer, like, yo, can we look for Zen now? And most of the time, like the Zen's like low key out of position, but he's just standing in the open. Hitting him now would be really good. Like if you were sitting here third personing and just scouting this lane, and you saw him come through, and then Zarya's feeding. You like now he's super killable, insanely killable. Maybe your Tracer's here, like playing Mega, dueling their Tracer. You can be like, hit Zen main, and then they just leave the duel. Like so they're dueling Tracer, then they like get their recall force, and then they just leave and hit the Zen. Like worst case scenario, you know, you trade your Tracer for their Zen. Now all you have to do is guard the res, and then you got like you carry the fight basically. You killed their carry character, you traded Tracer, who's not a win condition or a character. So like you can see the value. Like you've done your job close to the apex. Like more ideally, you know, people wouldn't die, but that's what we want to be going for. Also, like don't use your team's resources. There's a mega here, health pack, mega here. There's no mega down there. Like, we should be using these over our resources because think about how many resources we have. Hard pocketing a Zenyatta. So like healing 600 HP is like quite the task. Like, and if it's in between fights for ult charge, sure. But other than that, like you with how fast you are, just getting a health pack and coming back in is gonna be a lot faster. And just better because your Zen should be pocketing your Tracer or your Sigma most of the time. Worst case scenario, your Tracer or your Mercy. Sig can get pocketed mid fight, like when you're brawling. Like, I'm not gonna just repeat myself. You can't change what happened, you know? But like, look, just for like, I know the Tracer players are not here, but I want you guys to like understand this comp as much as you can, because this is like a really complicated comp. So learning it well will like make you guys smarter. Like, look at our Tracer and how hard it is for our Tracer to do stuff. Like, our Tracer sees their Zen. Okay, now there's like immediately leaves. Because we're like, oh, a Zen, that's juicy. And then we see, oh, the ball's still here. There's a Mercy here. There's an Echo here. Like, I can't do this. Now, if this guy's getting droven, one clipping a Zen, at that point, he's literally standing still, like flying up and down in the air. You can kill him through a Mercy pocket. The lethality goes from like 5% chance to probably like 95%. And that's killing their carry character. We talked about this before. This Valk's not bad. You got your Valk early, so you used it early. Good. Right now, you should probably be like looking to pocket one of these two to cycle their ults. Your Zen could work too. Like, typically when you use one of these ults, you want to be like using it to enable one of them, like to get their ult fast, or like for tempo. Like if they push hard in and you kite, then you sort of Valk and like get your health back and your cooldowns back, and then you like damage boost Valk back in. This is called ebb and flow, really complicated, but like it's sort of like hitting second, which is like going in, self-engaging, not using your cooldowns, like forcing their cooldowns, like stickies and stuff, like trance maybe, going back out, like resetting, like maybe someone died, soft resetting, then going back in. And you can sort of see how this is sort of like complicated and like mid-fight, it'll be hard. I'm not going to touch too much on that, just know it exists. Like right now, I know our Zen players here. Think about how easy your life would be if you were with Sig in here. Like if you're with Sig in here, you're like not really in threat to get dove. You have a shield, and you have the same sightlines. Like you're shooting at the same people, they just can't shoot at you. And then on top of that, your field of vision as a support player, like I said, support players and main tank are like the ones that have like all of the info most of the time. That's not an M. What do you mean? Okay. So like you having this tiny field of view is like really going to make your job hard. Comparison to having this field of view. This field of view is like really bad. And even if you're good at calming, it would be like it's so little information that like you could call Zarya's like 380 HP right now. Which is like bad comparison to like calling Zen's one main, because you could sort of see that. Like, you know, you could Discord Zarya, you could call Discord Zarya, you could call Discord Ball. You have like a lot more options, and you're not killable. Here, you're insanely killable, and you're like, it's awkward for your Sigma, because your Sigma is playing a little bit like a Ryan, and you're playing like a Tracer, which is, you guys like want to go in that room, but you won't. This is okay though. You've won the fight. You're cleaning up. It's fine to just take space, kill the people, charge your ults, whatever. One thing, our players not here, but the idea exists. Our Ball and Tracer and our Echo are hyper mobile, and like the amount of information they can get, like your Ball just rolled through, saw all of them going main. This needs to be called. You could say they're going main. I want to look to hit Zen like outside a Mega Room. Boom, like that's a pre-fight plan, at least for you and Tracer. And then your Zen and stuff could be like, okay, we're gonna play high ground now. So like now you have line of sight to like pocket your Tracer when they go in for their hit and Discord someone. Like your echo can be like flying around mega rooms, spamming them constantly. But everyone can reposition that way only with the information that they're going main. This information is insanely good. If you have this information, it should like lead to an action, and like I'm like repeating myself. Like alt is like just another form of info. Like if you don't like worry about the alts, like worry about the info, where they are, what they're doing, what cooldowns they have, what alts they have. All of this is info that leads to how you play. If they're all going main, this is insanely good information to like lead you to how you're gonna play. And this is like getting the info is first step. Knowing what to do with it is next step, and then from that you're gonna be scrimming 3-4. You're gonna be scrimming like 800 SR above where your like peak is, because you're like, this is like a different game. Like comp Overwatch compared to scrim Overwatch is completely different games. Your jobs and your responsibilities are completely different. Like in a comp game, your Ana pushes cart. Sure, that's what you do. In a scrim, your Ana does not push cart. Hell no. They have other jobs, other responsibilities. They have things they're supposed to be doing. So those are like completely different things, and they're like in the same game of Overwatch, which is like insane. Now the decision making and the responsibilities change completely when you put 6 people in a custom game. But like most of the things you do in comp are like suboptimal on a scrim. So like make sure you're putting thought into things you're doing, especially with how you use your alts and stuff. Like this is especially for like these alts, and I mean zone controlling alts like your high noon and stuff. Like using them for kills or using them for just healing output or like a damage boost is like cool, but they also have like macro impact. Writing is hard. Macro impact that if you know will affect how you use them. So I'm trying to teach this right now, and then I want you to use this information to be a better player and make better decisions, impact these games more. Here, our ball cycles in too early again. Our tracer's like not able to hit. Our tracer hits alone. Like we can see how well that goes. Our Zen is in a good spot, and we can sort of see how hard it is to kill him. Transing here is okay, actually. Oh, wait. Fluxing here is good. Flux, and this is like these alts counter, like just like Grav does. Grav is basically Flux in this circumstance. Like most of the time, ideally, you want to use your trance for Flux or for mines. Worst case scenario for Pulse. So right here, you use your trance, I think, because you're about to die. So you use it like sort of for Pulse, sort of for living, because the fight's sort of winnable. That's fine. They trance. Immediately after that, you Flux. Perfect. Because the only thing that's going to shut down your Flux just got used. So you're like tempoing them. You know, this is sort of like going second. They came in with trance, and now you're going to like, you know, you like would come back. You know, you guys don't move, but hypothetically, you like play for time. You play for survival. This is where like Valking would come in. Valking to sustain would work. And then after that, you Flux for re-engage. So like you guys can see how this is like complicated, but this is as like you need a lot of information, you need a lot of talking, you need a lot going on to like let this play out, but this leads to winning. This is like these fights that GM and top 500 and 4.5 players have. This is what they're doing on paper. The ball's contesting. This is good. I don't love this. This is like a rotational thing. You guys are in a good spot. And this is like specifically for these two people. You guys are in a good spot. You're like kind of getting forced out of it. I would have liked you to come up high other than push the point. Your ball is contesting. Like that's sort of his job. So like it's a given. There's no point for these two characters to be on point. Like worst case scenario, you literally have to like keep the game going, like overtime. But it's not overtime right now. Like sure, they're close and you need to contest, but ball's alive doing that because it's his job. You guys need to live and get value. You're the carry character. You need to be calming discords. You need to be alive to do that. And getting on point is a really good way to die. And like your SIG obviously is going to try to play with you, and you're going to try to play with your SIG. But like either one of you calming, like rotate high, is like perfectly fine communication and like should be done here. Now whether you need to comment or not, like kiting as these two is good because both of you want to play for poke and both of you want to play from range. Getting the high ground gets you away from the fight and gets you that distance. you want this a lot. Like if this is what you want. So this is sort of the more optimal play you could have done. Granted, there's like grabs and a lot of team fight stuff going on, but it would be better. And now you can see like our Zen gets punished. Our Sig got grabbed. I'm not paying too much attention to like the fight and how it's going, just like macro stuff like positioning and little things you guys are either not paying attention to or don't know. I need water. Here we have a lot of ults. A lot of these ults don't combo. Like we don't really have any combos. So a lot of your ults just like, and this is like specifically because they're mirroring, a lot of your ults do like the same stuff using, like you want to look to pulse to force trance. Good trade. You want to like, worst case scenario, you have to use flux to force it. But like ideally you don't want to. You want to try to mines when they don't have the thing that counters mines. You know, like these ults like just get value. Like if you just go in and solo mine their Zen and their Zen doesn't have trance, he's dead. Good. You can do that without Tracer. So this is like Tracer can kill Zen without you because you can just go in and pulse him. Like, but obviously we want to like be aware that he can just live no matter what we do if he has an ult. So like alt track, use that information, let it affect how you play. Also, I'm just gonna say this anyway. One thing is specifically about running mercies is like killing Zen too early or in a spot that's easily rezzed is suboptimal because he's just gonna get rezzed immediately. Like if you pulse Zen and he doesn't have trance or he does have trance, and they just sort of like let you kill him and you don't guard the res, then they res for free, you did nothing. Like you sort of like that's like specifically for Mercy, if they're running Brig, it's different. But like with res, this is like a lot for Pulse Bomb. Pulsing Zen too early in a fight will lead to just an easy res. So you want to look to kill him mid-fight where it's harder for Mercy to res. Because if Mercy's resing, then the Echo doesn't have the support to play as aggro as they want to be. Like Zen and Sig, you guys are super split. And your Sig is getting like pressured hard. Zen's like in the lane to take a lot of spam. This is fine. Like you guys are playing really like one lane. This map has 3 lanes. Coast is the one down here, I think. No, this is point. This is coast. Sorry. So like mid, point, coast. I did this wrong. Coast, point, and then mid. Like what character you play, like and what space you want to try to contest and control is like big. Like our Tracer should be trying to either play for one of these off lanes, and so should our ball. And then like whichever one they take sort of manipulates which one you guys take. You guys don't want to go mid. Mid is a very open area, which is like easily you can look at this and be like, yo, ball can like actually use his kit really well here. You know, he just grapples this, slams here, we're all in the open. Like that's pretty easy. You know, Tracer has like hella places to come from. Like these are your threats. Your threats are like not really scary in here. Like what is ball gonna do? If he tries to grapple, he's gonna hit a wall. You know, like Tracer's in a hallway. It's pretty easy to headshot Tracer. Like I'm Zen, I can 1v1 her in here. Like this is where you want to be. So going main, you're making your life hard. This is a good Valk because we use it with this damage boosting to like let this play more aggro and charge grab easier. Again, you're like cycling this ult, sort of weird because it's echo or whatever. And like while you're doing this, it's actually in a really optimal time because your Zen's about to get pulsed and you can just Valk res him. But like comboing these, I know I said like they don't really combo, but you're not like comboing, but you're like using them together in a macro perspective. Ball and Tracer, like look, you can see this lethality. You can see it in the kill feed. Perfect. This is like specifically for Zen. You're taking a lot of poke damage because there's like Sig can't shield this. If you're again in these situations, like a Sig shield would block all damage coming to you, and then like these are just better. I'm gonna repeat myself too much, but hopefully you're picking up on this. They Valk for, so they're just stalling. It's fine. One thing, and this is like kind of for these two, mainly for this one, but like Ball, you can sort of use this information too. Whenever like it's like a contest thing, like hypermobile characters in general should look to kill people respawning rather than killing people on point, because this is like what your kit is designed for. Like cycling in really hard, killing this person. Like Tracer's a lot easier to kill when she's not paying attention and she's just like mindlessly blinking constantly and mindlessly running the point. Way easier than when she's on point, like hyper focused, like blinking around like a psychopath, like ready to recall at any second. Way easier. And like you can punish that and you can punish that. So like just look for that more, because again, you only need one on point. Like I don't know, I'm saying again, but like right now Ball is like the primary one to contest, and they would be up here, and Tracer would be looking to kill people who are coming back, and then Echo could sort of look for that, but Echo's like comboed with Discord, sort of burns people, and that's like kind of what you're looking for. But just like in a contest thing, and this is like not to be toxic, a really low ranked thing is like whenever it's like overtime or anything, everyone's on point because they're like afraid of a C9. This is not competitive. Like if you're in a comp game, sure, be afraid of C9. You know your teammates are bad. You're trying to avoid all of them next game. You can only pick 3. Like that's fine, but you can't avoid any of these people. You should trust them. Like ask your Ball to stay point, and then just trust he's staying point. If he calls, I'm about to die, and then he dies, and maybe someone else calls, they're gonna touch point or say you have it. You know, like Echo's like I'm on point. It's fine. I got it. Then you only have one person on point, and then everyone else is in a better position and getting more value. What did their Tracer just pulse? I'm not going to worry about it. That was just weird. You guys win. Valking is like insanely good in overtime. Like, it's just nuts because you just like are so much harder to kill. It's like 2 CP-ish, you know, like great Valk usage. Other maps. What do we play? I don't know. There it is.
I'm gonna post in I don't remember the name of the other team in the VOD codes channel.
If you guys want me to like go, like I'm like skipping over like micro stuff, like how your abilities and stuff go over it, other than the fact that like Sig uses his shield to protect them. It gets more intricate, like specifically to characters. Like it's really complicated shit. Do you have any questions specifically about your character, and like if you want to switch to another character or any like stuff like that, that's like I don't have time to go over, and you like need that info or don't know it, you can definitely DM me. Like I'll take time to talk to you and like let you know. Here we play Brawl. This is sort of like, I don't need to go over this actually. We went over it on Kings Row. It's like the same stuff. And here I like literally can't really VOD this because you're running a weird comp. That's just like making it hard to play. I can like show you guys how this, like these 4 characters together, like it's like really hard to work with. Specifically, are your Zen like knows that it's really hard.
Mid game too.
Yeah,
I
like
think you did. I think that's what it was.
Like, yeah, your Zen was like, I'm just dying so much, and you guys are like, okay, switch to Diva. But the thing is, your Sig should already be with your Zen. Like, so like this character, no matter what this person plays, this role is already responsible for this character. The only problem is like this one can't help, so it's like tough. And then you like dropped your Tracer, so like your Tracer can't even pressure their Tracer. Like, you guys want to see how like all of these little bitty things lead to your Zen being in the kill feed on the right side like all the time. And then him being your carry pick, it makes it really hard to win. You guys win anyway because you're just built different, but it's a lot harder than it needs to be. Like, yeah, I can't really go over this. This is just like, yeah. Other
Makes
than what I
sense.
just said.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If everyone's interested in more, we played more maps. I can like keep going over stuff. A lot of it is like I let you guys play comps I didn't like this, because I want to like I'm more focused on your comms. Like I'm just listening, and I'm like looking at where you're standing, and like I don't want to like bring all of this stuff up I just went over for the past hour and a half. Like in 2 minutes in between like in between rounds. Like, I did once for Hanamura just so like because I saw like you guys didn't really understand what you were doing, and I wanted to quickly go over it. You guys changed it immediately, and it was nuts. But I couldn't like go over like a ton of stuff for every character, and like I can keep going over stuff, but you guys are getting like, oh, I can go over double bubble. What's the map you guys went over? Played double bubble on? Oh wait, you switched double bubble here?
And you have the
No,
first
no.
three.
First three? Like, okay. That's a comp you guys like actually played pretty
You
well.
could do
Like off that.
Lijiang, Junkertown, or Hollywood. We all played it.
Okay, this is where I hop off.